All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us today. Um, those that invited you to this call, they care about you, they care about your horses and their health. And so we're just excited to be able to share with you this awesome information about how you can flip the switch to better health and performance in your equine friends. So thank you so much for jumping on the call today. I would like to thank Marvel Murphy and her horse Bo in this picture for allowing us to use this picture as our cover photo. Marvel and her horse Bo are both Nerf 2 activated, and they both are feeling the benefits of how this incredible activator works inside of our bodies and in our horses' bodies. So I just wanted to give a little credit to her for allowing us to use this photo. We have some amazing speakers on this call today, and so I'm so excited to be able to share with you guys who they are and their stories. But first, I would like to introduce myself and share a little bit of my story with you. My name is Jenny Field, and I am a wife and a mom. Hold on, I'm trying to flip this slide for you. There we go. I'm a wife and I'm a mom. I'm a massage therapist. I live in Sparks, Nevada, and I have grown up around horses and livestock pretty much my entire life. I rode as a kid, and I have instilled that into our two daughters, and they just have a passion for horses. Both of my girls, my older girl high school rodeoed, and now my younger daughter high school rodeos now, and they do barrel racing and pole bending. So we are definitely in the equine world. And that's kind of where our story starts, here with our horse Lily. So a few years ago, she was about 4 years old, and she suffered a deep flexor tendon strain in her hind foot. And that can be pretty devastating. It's a pretty significant injury. And we were, working with a veterinarian and doing some rehab, but there was so much stress that happened in that deep flexor tendon that it actually caused the navicular bone inside the foot to weaken, and it just fractured that bone right in half. And so to get that news when you have a very young horse that is a performance horse was pretty devastating, and we just weren't really sure where we were going to go with this horse and how she was going to heal. But we took her to a lameness equine vet in California, and he was very, very optimistic with the prognosis of her healing. And he just said with the corrective shoeing, with proper rest and rehab, she would make a full recovery, but we had to give it time. And that was about a year process of waiting and rehabilitating this horse. And so we took her back, we got some x-rays, and he said, yep, she's all healed up. You can get her going again. But I was super nervous. And so I started looking into what I could give her to support her from the inside out. Being a massage therapist, I know that our cells in our body work with our body, and if we can repair those, our body works even better. So I started looking, and I came across what is called Nerf 2 activation. Protandem is the product, and I kind of dug into the science, because there is a lot of science that backs these products up. And once I did that, I instantly knew that she needed to be on it, and this was going to be our answer. And so we put her on Protandem Nerf 2 last January. So it's almost been 2 years that Lily has been activated. And this is my daughter running barrels just a couple months ago in high school rodeo. So she has made a full recovery. She's, even better, I feel like, than she was before. And I can't, say enough about what this has done for her. And so that's why I'm here tonight sharing with you about these amazing products. And I just have a passion for it. And all the people that are going to be on this call have a passion for sharing this information. And so we're just so excited to be able to share that with you. I am going to introduce our first speaker on the call tonight. Her name is Dr. Alice Beretta. She is an equine vet. She graduated from the University of Georgia College of Veterinary Medicine in 2002. And in 2007, Dr. Beretta opened up her own practice called Beretta Equine. And since then, she has just been providing care for all of her horse patients and their owners. So I'm going to let Dr. Beretta take it away, and she's going to share with you some of the science of Protandim Nerf 2.
Thank you, Jenny, for such a great introduction, and this is wonderful information to share. I just, when it came to me, I dug deep into the science. A little bit about myself. I've always been an equine person. Same as Jenny, I started out with horses and stuck with it. And so I can't believe I've been in practice now for 18 years. It's amazing how time flies when you enjoy what you do. But some of the things that are frustrating, I think, with equine practice is a lot of times by the time my clients call me, we're already down that slippery slope of disease, and it's hard to rein it in. And so, I just really appreciate being able to offer my clients and educate my clients about prevention and what can support our horses, so that hopefully we don't, run into those end of life situations or, life-ending injuries. So those are the things that make our job difficult. And so one of the things I'd like to talk about today, and it is not familiar with, and it's oxidative stress. So you look at these two horses. You've got this horse on the left who's just, pasture ornament, standing out there waiting for somebody to walk by with a carrot. You wouldn't think a stressful lifestyle. And then on the right, you've got your working horse, possibly competing and traveling and working hard. So you could kind of see how that could be a stressful lifestyle. But oxidative stress, what people don't realize is that it is something that is in all mammals, and it is something that affects all of us. And it really boils down to our metabolism. We breathe oxygen, we eat food, and the byproduct, similar to the exhaust on your truck, the byproduct, free radicals, or these reactive oxygen species. And the next slide will show you just a little bit more about how exactly on a technical level what that is. And so if you cut an apple in half, you can see that it will brown. It'll oxidize. Well, the same thing happens with your cells. That oxidative stress, or those free radicals, will affect your cells and damage them, and then they need to be replaced more quickly. And the body makes an astronomical amount of free radicals. And as we age, there are several things that can affect our levels of oxidative stress. So you could see that horse that was on the left that you thought was just, out there calm and cool, no problem. That is an older horse. And with age comes higher levels of oxidative stress. So there are different things, in general, if you're not growing. So if your horse is no longer, a growing animal, then they are aging. And so you wouldn't think of a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old as being an older horse, but they're already, getting older. And the oxidative stress is affecting, their joints and causing inflammation in their body. And so, how does oxidative stress affect your horse? And these are all things that horse people come across. Depends on how many horses you've had and what ages they are, and how long you've been in the horse business. But the things that I run into on a daily basis are things like metabolic diseases, equine Cushing's disease, or PPID, metabolic disease that often lead to laminitis or founder, inflammatory airway disease like asthma, that is caused by oxidative stress. Sometimes people call it heaves when it's in the end stages, and it can be a very frustrating to go through. Problems with their eyes, uveitis, sometimes tumors associated with the pink skin. The sun exposure is another thing that causes oxidative stress, and chronic sun exposure on the pink, the blue eyes, the paint horses. That is always terrible, terrible news. And a lot of times people, don't put fly masks on them, don't cover their eyes, don't keep them in the shade, and then boom, it's too late. So osteoarthritis, we all have joints, we all have cartilage. And when it comes to horses, that is one of the most important things. So many horses careers end and they're of mobility troubles and lamenesses, and just inflammation in those joints. So even those young, hardworking horses, it's not uncommon for us to be, injecting hocks and, checking them for soreness at a young age. Um, Tendon injuries, that's a big one, a lot of strain there. Any exercise related fatigue or injury, and sarcoids, melanomas, other tumors, all of those things are linked to oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is really the root cause of inflammation in a lot of diseases. So if you can decrease oxidative stress, and try to keep some of those things at bay, it can make a huge difference. So the big question is, how do we fight oxidative stress? How do we fight this free radical damage? How do we prevent it? And there are two types of antioxidants. We all know that antioxidants is, but what's the difference between direct antioxidants and indirect antioxidants? So your direct antioxidants are the ones that you're familiar with, like vitamin C, vitamin E, flavonoids. We see a lot of those in our horses supplements, and I have people bring out their tubs of supplements out of their tack rooms, and I'm wiping off the dust and looking at the ingredients. And unfortunately, a lot of those are direct antioxidants, and they may be helping a little, but they may not. And sometimes people are over supplementing, which can be more harmful. And then you have the indirect antioxidants, which are these large molecules or antioxidant enzymes that the body makes. So the magic is in the body and what the antioxidants that it can make on it. And the difference between the two is that your direct antioxidants work at a 1-to-1 ratio, one and done. Your indirect antioxidants work at 1,000,000 per second for every second of the day. So you get this continuous, scavenging of these free radicals and removal of these free radicals, so you can keep it in check. So you no longer have these high levels of oxidative stress. And so the big, kind of key take home message here is, sorry, Jenny, did you lose me? I had a phone call.
Nope, you're good. You're still here.
Okay, sorry about that. So the big take home message here is that you don't want to take more antioxidants. You want to flip the switch on the body making more antioxidants. So on the next slide, I wanted to talk about Protandim. Protandim is the NRF2 activator that I use in my practice. So NRF2 or NRF2, that's where it comes in, is the switch. It is on, the cellular level, that little protein that binds the DNA and turns on the production of those antioxidant enzymes. And I forgot to cover on the other slide, but the difference between your indirect antioxidants and your direct antioxidants is the difference between, like, if you have a big Dixie cup of water, yes, you're helping, but you're not going to make a difference in really decreasing that inflammation or that fire. If you're using your indirect antioxidants that the body makes, it's like a fire hose that's continuously spraying that inflammation or fire to be able to extinguish it. So it makes a gigantic difference when you look at the effectiveness of it. And most people don't realize that. So your goal is to be able to turn on the production of those antioxidant enzymes. And that's where Protandem comes in. It's actually a human supplement. Um, it's amazing how many medical studies there are on Protandem. If you go to pubmed.gov, so that's the National Institute of Health website, and that's where you can find the science. You know, when you're looking for medical information or information on something that you want to be taking or give to your horse, you don't want to just Google. You definitely want to go to a reputable source. So PubMed is where, as a veterinarian, I'm going to be doing my research. And there are actually 28 peer-reviewed studies on Protandem, which is unheard of for a branded supplement. It's not just the ingredients we're looking up, it's the actual supplement itself. And it's been shown in humans to decrease oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So 40%, that's almost cutting it in half. So when you think about all the diseases that are linked to oxidative stress and you're able to reduce it that much, that is significant. And when I first found out about this, I spoke to a lot of equine veterinarians that had been using it in their practice, and they had such great feedback that I couldn't wait to use it myself. And I have to say that it has improved, almost every patient that I have put it on. And it is just incredible to see some of those, really severe cases improve over time. And so sometimes you'll hear a lot of amazing testimonials and stories, and you may hear some in just a few minutes from some wonderful ladies. But I just want to go over the fact that because it is an herbal supplement, it's a natural supplement, not a pharmaceutical, we do not claim that it treats, mitigates, or prevents any diseases. But really what it is it is supporting the body on a cellular level, and it makes a huge difference. What is in Protandem, and how it works. And this slide is a great little schematic. I'll go over very, very quickly just because I'm a visual person, and I feel like it really explains how it works. But the Protandem, your NRF2 activator, will allow that little red circle, that little tiny NRF2, that little messenger protein, to actually enter the nucleus of the cell and bind the DNA, the genetic material, to turn on those survival genes. And the survival genes are the anti-inflammatory genes, the production of those antioxidant enzymes that are so crucial, and decrease fibrosis or scar tissue. And so you're probably wondering, what is in it? What are the ingredients? And you may have heard of some of these: turmeric, ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, and green tea. All great herbs that have been used in Eastern medicine that have wonderful therapeutic properties. But really, it's the magic of the synergy of all 5 herbs together and the specific formula, the ratio that it is in. And because of the way that it's able to reduce oxidative stress is why there are so many studies that have been done by all these different universities and medical schools, Harvard, LSU. This is a paper done by Washington State. And I just love this paper. This is one, if you like the nerdy stuff, or if you really want to understand how this pathway works and why it's so important to activate it in your horse, this is a great paper to read. And one of the quotes in there just says it all. It says, "NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary and therapeutic breakthrough in the history of medicine." And there's a table of diseases that can be treated and prevented by NRF2 activation. And it also discusses Protandem and how it works. So that's a great paper if you want to learn a little bit more about it. Also, this paper talks about oxidative stress and equine medicine, and really just talks about how your goal is to maintain that oxidant balance. Because if you've got too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants, then you have, oxidative stress or oxidant damage and disease. So if you want to improve their health span, their lifestyle, their lifespan, their quality of life, this is just an incredible way to do it. So these are things that you can see improve in your horse when you increase their antioxidant enzyme production and you're decreasing inflammation. Some of the things that I see are better skin and coat. That's one of the first things that I'll see. And you're not always, looking for that, but you'll see them shed out in the spring, and you just realize they shed out earlier than they used to, and the quality of the coat is much improved. Um, Much better energy, endurance, and sorry, I actually can't. It's so small, I can't read it. Oh, it improves the immune system, a healthier immune system, better um, joint health and mobility. And that's a huge one to me. It is so important, especially some of those older horses that they have a person, they have a small human that may be your child, and they're the perfect horse. And the last thing you want to do is have to turn them out to pasture and retire them, because of their joint health. So anything that you can do to keep these horses going and healthy, and just improve their health span. You don't want them to live forever. You want them to be healthy for as long as they're here. Um, Reduce joint pain and inflammation. And the other thing that I've noticed differences is in the oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. With any age related condition is going to be linked to oxidative stress, but also cardiovascular problems, heart problems, and tumors. I see a lot of sarcoids, a lot of melanomas, and those can be very, very difficult and frustrating to treat. So go ahead. Next slide.
That's the last slide for
Perfect.
our science presentation. So if you have something else you wanted to share, um, you can share. If not, we can go on to some of the stories.
Okay, sure. No, I just wanted everybody to kind of get a grasp of the science and why it works the way that it does, so that when everyone's sharing these testimonials, they can understand why it makes a huge difference in their horses. And so if you have any, horses that you think would benefit, feel free to reach out to the person who invited you to this call, and we can um, hopefully share a little more information with you. So thank you, Jenny, for inviting me on the call, and I'll pass it on to all these wonderful testimonials that are coming up.
Oh, thank you so much, Alice. I just love listening to you when you talk about the science behind Protandim and what it can do inside of every mammal's body, and how it works. It still just blows my mind on on really how we can activate our own body, and we can have it be the best that it can possibly be and perform the best that it possibly can. So thank you so much. I just love when you share. We are going to hear from 3 different stories of different horses being activated. And I'm going to pass the call over to Janae Rhodes. And Janae Rhodes is a dear friend of mine. My daughters train with her, so she trains performance horses in Reno, Nevada. And both of my girls have worked with her, and she just has a passion for these horses and also these riders, and she's just a dear friend. So I'm going to pass the call over to Janae. You can unmute yourself and share this story of Pixie.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you, Dr. Beretta, for all the explanation. This little horse right here is Pixie. She belongs to one of my girls that I coach, and this particular girl had quite a heck of a time trying to obtain a horse. Parents didn't have much money, which made it a big challenge to find her something. We got something, it wasn't going to work, had to get rid of it, and then this mare came along, and we took a chance on her. And we started on her, and she had a lot she had to learn. She had to become a 3-event horse. She had to do barrels, poles, and breakaway. As we got started, shortly after that, the mare tore a deep flexor tendon in the right front foot. And that injury is horrible. Same thing that Jenny's girl's horse, same thing that happened to her. This injury, because it's in the hoof, it's difficult to deal with. It also runs down around through the bones in the hoof at the back of the navicular bone. So we took the mare in to our lameness vet, and we started on rehab, and we rehabbed and we rehabbed, and we went back for recheck after recheck, and the mare was struggling. The tendon was healed. However, the inflammation that was due to that tendon being torn, the inflammation inside that foot was causing some erosion in the navicular bone. And the mare was having pretty significant pain from the navicular bone. So it became clear that Pixie's future was iffy, and Maddie was forced to find another horse to use for the spring rodeos. And we kept going with Pixie. We did try last resort. We did OSFOS. We did a whole month worth of non-steroidals, and to no avail. We had corrective shoeing, and the last progress note from the vet was basically he had done all that he could do. It was gonna be what it was, and she might not ever fully recover. So Maddie went, and Jenny was nice enough to share one of her horses as a backup, and Maddie started on that horse. Then COVID hit, and we were down, and rodeo season was done anyway. Maddie continued riding Pixie. We were trying to, just keep going on her with light work. And one day I was like, well, I should back up. We had started Pixie on Nerf 2 activation after we did the non-steroidal course, and it did not change anything. So we started Pixie on Protandim, and she had been on it about 2 months, I want to say, if I can remember right. And I just kind of noticed one day, I was like, Maddie, your mare looks pretty sound. And she's like, I know, I think she feels better. So we kept going with her. And sure enough, we went right on into competing with her. And Maddie she was able to go to an invitational rodeo in July and competed in barrels, poles, and breakaway on the little mare. And she's been sound ever since. And that's a pretty remarkable story. And we are super happy. And so is Maddie. It's her senior year. She has big plans coming. So anyway, that's Maddie's story. And I will hand it over to Maddie and Pixie, I should say. I'll hand it over to Debbie Michaels. She is a friend, and she is also a client of my boyfriend's. She's a lead program technician for the USDA Farm Service, and she's dabbling in the futurity cow horse world. She does show, and she is activated herself, and her horse Spencer has a remarkable story. She started him on it, I believe, a little over a year ago, and we've had great results. So I'm going to hand it over to Debbie. Debbie, if you unmute yourself and tell us about Spencer.
I hope I'm here. So Spencer is a 3-year-old quarter horse gelding that, like the name said, he's cow horse training to be shown this year in the 3-year-old maturity. And I had activated myself and my other horse, and I wanted to try it on Spencer and see if we could give him the best possible chance to stay healthy with the training he's going to have to go through. So last July, when he was 2, we went ahead and started him on the Protandim NRF2. And so he has been on it now for over a year. And he's had to go through, go through a lot of rigorous training. Have to do 3 events. So he had to do how now. So there was a lot that he had learned, and by the end of their 2-year-old year, going into the 3-year-old year, the training really does start ramping up. And so before we started showing it was early July, so we gave my parents to Dr. Gardner to have a pre-maturity check done on him, and just make sure that everything was okay. Normally, the 3-year-olds that go to these pre-maturity checks, they always find that they're sore or that they have inflammation in their paw, and they need injections, to help fix that and to get rid of that inflammation. So we switched the services to Dr. Gardner, and he had his pre-maturity test, and he had 0 in his paw. He wasn't sore anywhere else but back and neck, and like I said, the hog was completely clear of all inflammation. And he was excited. I was excited. He just came to do was different that had done what it was supposed to and been a preventative alternative. And he wasn't receiving any other vitamins or minerals or anything. It's all gifted. And he was completely inflammation free. So, anyways, that's the story, and we wouldn't do this again without successful on it.
Thank you, Debbie. You were kind of in and out there, but I think we could hear you okay. I'll just reiterate a little bit in case it wasn't real clear. This horse is a 3-year-old cow horse, and just for history's sake, I can personally say we've never taken a 3-year-old in futurity training to a pre-futurity check with the vet and not had inflammation in their hocks. It's pretty unheard of, and at least we haven't had one. And so for this horse not to have any inflammation in his hocks, we totally believe it comes down to being activated, NRF2 activated early on, and that inflammation was not there, and his hocks were pristine. And that's pretty cool, pretty amazing stuff. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing that. We'll go on to Jean. And Jean Jorgensen is a friend of mine and a client, and she's a brand inspector, and she has an amazing story as well with her horse Ringo, who is a reining horse. And I'm going to hand it over to Jean, and she's going to tell you about Ringo.
Thank you, Janae. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I got Ringo as a 4-year-old. He was a cow horse, and I was moving on. I thought I would really like to have a horse that's broke and that I could run barrels on. So I did that till I think Ringo was 8 to 10. And then I started a whole new discipline, reining. So in June of 2011, I take him out so he's not in the arena all the time. And I was slowly just jogging along, and all of a sudden he started falling, and it was the scariest thing. I thought, well, can I pick him up? Is he gonna flip? I didn't know what to do, so I held on. His face was on the ground dragging, and but we finally recovered, and I got home and I looked, and the front of his face was scraped, and then his eye was all swollen. So obviously when we were plowing the ground, he got dirt in that. So I called my veterinarian, and she said, well, he had an ulcer. So we treated that. And then I made an appointment with Dr. Gardner, knowing that an 11-year-old needed his hocks injected. So we went there, and he said, well, we're going to check him to see why he fell. Well, C5, C6, C7 were in very bad shape, and these control his front feet. So obviously that was significant and why he fell. And he said, this horse, in this horse's condition, he can never be ridden on the trail again. Absolutely not. He can only be ridden in good ground. I can go ahead and try to do reining. But if he fell again, he either needed to be euthanized or just turned out for the rest of his life. Well, I went to my last horse show, sitting on him crying, sorry. And I thought that, you know, this could be the last time I ever ride him. And then so with Janae's assistance, we put him on Nerf 2. And I did my, this year's rainy season was a little different. Part of it was virtual. But then we did have 3 shows. We cut it short because it as we all know with COVID, everything was a challenge. So anyway, but in April, he went back to Dr. Gardner for a recheck to make sure that he was safe and to get his hocks checked. And the 6 months before, Marty did inject the area in his neck, which he was having problems. So anyway, they did a soundness exam. They checked his neck and they did cookie stretches, and it was like, okay. They ejected his hocks, but they said, just go ride him and do whatever. And so he showed as a 12-year-old, and I am recovering from surgery and also on Nerf 2. But I wasn't with him for, even though we live in the same place, I wasn't able to go to the barn and do chores, and I'm just starting to be able to feed at night now. But I did some carrot stretches with him, and his neck just went all the way around, which is amazing because he hasn't done it in 2 months. So I have my horse back, and at age 73, I'm hoping this is my last horse, that I don't have to start over. So I'm very grateful for the results.
That's a great story. Thank you, Jean. And yes, I'm grateful too. The inflammation that was in Ringo's neck, and knowing that, you know, that it might not work, and that if it progressed, he was going to have to be put to sleep, was a scary thing. But when Jean took him back to Dr. Gardner and he didn't even have to have his neck injected, that tells you right there that the inflammation was being kept at bay, and there's only one way that was happening, and that was through Protandim and Nerf 2 activation, and that inflammation was not causing any more problems in that neck. So that's quite the success story. Thank you, Jean.
You're
all right,
welcome.
Jenny, I think we'll hand it back to you.
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you so much. All of those stories are just incredible. And that's what we love to do. We just have a passion for sharing about Nerf 2 activation, on how it can help your horses, how it could even help you as the rider. And so this is going to wrap the call up. But if you do have questions, if you want some more information, if you want some of those studies done by the universities, please get with the person that invited you to this call. They are happy to share that information with you, and they're happy to get Protandim in your hands and show you how you can order it. So I just want to thank everybody for joining the call, and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.